Drinking? Is that what we should do?
Yes, start drinking.
No,
Don't.
there's no base for this if that's happening. Because
No.
Clark is not going to raise his voice to the point of it breaking, and I'm not going to stop drinking coffee. And I don't know what the tolerance level over there is. I don't know what. You know what? Let it happen. I'm letting go. You know what? Let it.
I mean, it's within my power to do. I started drinking the other night for like the first time in over a year.
Phantom Valentine already in. Thank you.
Oh, there's people here now. Everybody shut up.
Oh,
Hey,
wait a second.
So, just
Silva.
for those of you who are just joining us, my voice is a little shot, and it's probably from I don't know, talking too much, and I may have talked a little bit too much during my NSP video, so you know it's probably only fair. So
we gotta get you some. We gotta get you some tea.
Well, you gotta do those vocal warm ups, bro.
Somebody get some goddamn tea. Shara, where are you at? Anyways, this is Dirge of Cerberus, the best game in the compilation of Final Fantasy VII, and we're gonna play it for some reason. And luckily, you have the premier Dirge of Cerberus experts on hand. We've got both. Let's both. Why don't both of you introduce yourselves?
You want to go first?
1, 2, 3, not it.
I'm Sleepezi, and
Jack Quaid. You're Jack Quaid.
I'm Jack Quaid, and I make. I have a secret identity as a frog, making Final Fantasy VII theory videos on the internet, which I am. Yes, I have just concluded, and I've spent most of my time looking at the compilation. So I'm particularly excited about this because I have not sat through a DOC run in quite some time. So, and this is a speed run, just for obviously.
No, it's not. I don't even know.
Yeah, we're gonna see all the elite hacks happening right now. Live on stream.
I legitimately do not remember.
Skittles.
Hi.
Thank you.
Thank you, Skittle. Okay. How many of you are visiting from NSP's stream?
Obviously. Tell your mom how much I love her in
Okay. For the people that are wondering what's going on,
there's no indication that I am in fact Jack Quaid. But
okay, so before we start playing this game, if that's what you decide to call it, we'll introduce that Sleepezi, who has made a series of incredible videos, and has appeared many times on this stream and other podcast discussions, and is generally now a living legend in the Final Fantasy lore community. He's even like relatively well liked at the live stream community, which is a hard feat. They're tough cookies.
They're nice over there. If you just listen. That's what I have to say.
You know, honestly, they've opened up to me and accepted me into their world, and they're being very nice to me now, and it makes me almost uncomfortable. But anyways, Sleepezi refuses with all of his heart to show his face to the world. And so in passing, we were talking because occasionally him and I talk outside of this, and I said, hey, what do you think of the boys? He said, oh, you know, I like the boys. I know the main guy, the one guy. And he wouldn't even like say his name, just like the main guy. Yeah, I went over to their house a bunch, and then I was like, wait, you mean like the doofusy guy? It's like, yeah.
Have you
You
seen the
mean
boys?
Jack
Auto?
Quaid? So for those of you who don't know, the boys stars Jack Quaid, who is the son of Dennis Quaid and Meg Ryan, and these are both legendary actors. And he just acts like, oh yeah, it's just totally normal for me to like just be around these people. And then we find out that he secretly like lived around all these child stars, and and so we kind of figured out that the reason he won't show his face is because he's Jack Quaid, and he didn't want to
I'm
be like, he just wanted me to know somehow, like the way that Nomura tells stories.
Oh
right.
my god.
That's
There's
the
a
way.
6-hour video series coming out about the deconstruction of my essays that all lead to the conclusion that I am in fact
This is going to turn
Quaid.
into the next internet conspiracy theory where people are going to try to put together the clues that prove that you are Jack Quaid.
If you
Can we
guys,
do a story of 5 series simply on your story of 5 series? Like,
God damn it.
No.
I don't know if any human would ever even bother to entertain
I'd
the
watch
idea.
it. I don't know
Aw,
about you. I'd
thank
watch
you,
it.
Otto.
we
See, that
apparently love meta stuff, right? We love
Yeah.
Quaid
meta
actually
plot.
has a Twitch. Are you shitting me?
Yeah.
Oh
Oh.
man, that would be awesome to bomb.
you should just show up on his stream.
He genuinely will have no idea who I am. I'm almost 100% certain. If you think that,
Well, here's
if
the
you
thing: you've
think
never
that,
seen these two together in the same room, have you? You can't because they're the same guy.
I have no comment to that
Okay.
because, yes,
So,
yes, he does know my brother better. Gene Garcia is always on top of this shit.
I'm sorry
He
that
knows your whole life.
we have somehow not talked about anything of value.
Well, I mean,
Thus far.
Otto has to introduce herself.
Oh, hi. I'm
That's
here.
This is
That's how I feel most
Sapphire
of the
Weapon.
time. I'm here. No, I don't make videos because I have a very demanding job and also untreated ADHD. So I just shitpost on Twitter a lot. That's me. Hello.
Go follow.
She also knows a shit ton about a lot of things she doesn't like, which is perfect for this. Because we're about to play.
Gene, I am not a secret celebrity, but I do work for one.
Oh, there you go.
I do work for a celebrity, and that is the
Ooh.
reason. That is the reason why my face will never be on stream because the celebrity that I work for technically owns my likeness. So
Look at that.
Look at
So now
that.
there's another mystery is born. The
Oh.
compilation of theory crafting identities. It seems like that's the structure of 5 right there.
it's very
Okay.
Can I just
easy
get-
to find out who I am
Can
if
I
you
just
try hard
get-
enough.
Okay, before we get too far off on this,
Yeah.
we will, if you're like here just like legit waiting for us to start playing the worst
Trust me,
Final
you're gonna be
Fantasy
begging
game,
us to stop as soon
I
as we start
will-
anyway.
I will start legitimately 5 minutes from now. That way we can let people trickle in from that other thing they might have been doing. And for those of the people that were on NSP's stream, I don't mean to take you away from that. Mike from Resident Arc is talking to him. He's great.
I love Mike. I love him a lot.
Martin. Oh, Martin, I've known for a great many years, and and he has no idea what this is that we're doing, but I love him greatly.
Welcome, Martin.
Anyways, so on
Read
the
on the room.
on the NSP chat, they were talking. It was Nice Guy Prince and Mike from Resonant Arc. Basically just talking negatively about Final Fantasy and its history, and it's both its history and its future. But I think they're generally like pretty constructive conversation. The chat though got so gnarly. People were calling each other out. It seemed like it was violent. Somebody said that Yoshi P was a talentless hack.
I'm pretty sure someone set a car on fire. It was nuts.
Yeah, like somebody summoned all the Proud Boys, whatever that
no.
is, told them to stand by and stand back.
Oh
So,
no. Oh no.
anyways,
Oh, he wants me to drink. That's what's happening.
I no botanical, that didn't actually happen. So Final Fantasy VII, for those of you who don't know what's happening, Final Fantasy VII Dirge of Cerberus is a part of the compilation of Final Fantasy VII. It was released in 2006, shortly after Advent Children, which is a movie sequel to Final Fantasy VII. And it was the first idea that we were gonna first like entry of actual or actually it's the second game entry, huh? Right before Crisis came out first, right?
Does Before Crisis count though?
It's part of the compilation.
Well, because it wasn't finished by the time that Dirge of Cerberus came out, though.
Right. That's true.
It actually was the last to conclude, other than complete. So it started first and actually ended last in terms of
The Kids Are Alright is the final portion of the compilation.
I guess. In the official compilation inclusion. Well, how about we say that? Because we also know that On the Way to a Smile is too.
So this is the idea is it takes place 1 year after Advent Children. In other words, 3 years after the OG. It stars Vincent Valentine, who was an awesome character in OG and in Advent Children, and they decided to give him his own character using a game format that they have never developed before, Square Enix, and had no business being a part of. And so
the third-person shooter genre,
the game
is what it's called.
The game flopped ultimately, but they never really bailed on it. The canonicity is considered, verified up until remake. Remake even has references to it, and I think that's kind of why I have Sleepezi and Sapphire Weapon on, is because they can maybe point some stuff out. As many of you can tell, I blew my voice out, and so I'm gonna probably stop talking in general and just play while they narrate stuff.
Spadsky, I think is how that's pronounced. What's up, guys? Just in general, what's up to the chat? Glad that you guys are here. And I do have some words on Before Crisis for sure.
We all have words on Before Crisis.
Yeah. Actually, I think that's the one game I don't know about you guys, but as like I brought up to the group here that I like Dirge of Cerberus's lore the most out of the compilation, other than Advent Children. But I think that I have the most fun talking about Before Crisis with you guys in general. Like I don't think
because Before Crisis actually has a story.
Right? Yeah, it does, and it actually does. Like it goes over. You know what I like about Before Crisis is it goes over stuff that isn't a result of weird things that are happening in OG. It actually kind of goes through the OG a little bit. Like, like you really do. And then also, like, you're always like, when I was sold on Before Crisis is when it essentially explained how all of a sudden there were small Red 13 at the end. Like, I was just super satisfied to know that,
And that's mentioned in the world premiere, is that there's a ritual that takes place between Red 13 and it's a noted Before Crisis moment. So Not to assume too much,
Cool.
but the ritual is mentioned as as some sort of highlight. I don't know why on earth they would do that because it's pretty trivial for the most part. But I
Well, they
think,
gotta make it canon that he fucks.
yeah, bro, that's how we do.
Canon.
Gotta get that red 13s to the 14s and 15s and 16s, if you know what I'm saying.
The list of characters who can canonically fuck are Hojo and Red 13.
Yep.
That's it.
Confirmed.
So, okay, are you guys ready?
I'm as ready as this is ever gonna be.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I'm gonna. Sorry, go for it.
let me know if I need to adjust the volume. I'm gonna start kind of high. Turn it down.
All right. Sounds good. So right off the bat, I already have something to say about this.
Oh my god.
So this is a cool technology that the deep ground soldiers have, which is the ability to look at some unknowing civilian and tell whether or not their soul is pure or not. And it's hooked up to, I am imagining, the S&D, which this unknown character to us at this particular moment has a particular ability that allows her to access it's the ability S&D that allows her to access the World Wide Web. So that's so exciting. And now gameplay.
I already want to start drinking.
This is perfect. I'm now like 10 times happier than I was now that this game is started, and I actually am enjoying it already.
Oh my god. This is going to be a very disparate experience for the chat while you're enjoying yourself and I'm slowly dying.
I will say that the one thing I'm not a huge fan of, and I wish I'm looking forward to in Remake a lot more, and somebody already made mention that there's a DOC set of music that's actually used in Remake to a degree, and that was confirmed through Clark to me as well in a separate conversation, which is exciting. But I would say that the overall soundtrack, the Dirge of Cerberus, is the most generic of all of the compilation, except for obviously Before Crisis had setbacks, right? We're talking about a mobile game, and
so
but
wait,
even in that
hold
soundtrack,
on. You're telling me that that Redemption by Japanese musical legend Gact is generic?
I actually that's my least favorite of those types of. So every compilation, and this is maybe some trivia here. Every compilation piece has its own theme song.
I was really scared you were about to say it has its own Gact song.
No, that would have been awful. That would be actually awful. So Gact is the one for Dirge of Cerberus, and then there's a separate one for Before Crisis, and then there's actually one for Advent Children Complete, which only plays in the credits of Advent Children Complete. And all of the songs actually have a distinct similarity to a particular subject matter. It's I'm not saying that this isn't a generic subject, but most of them seem to stem from Destiny. I don't know if I've ever brought this up with you guys, but it's actually one of the weirdest elements of the compilation to me. Are these random songs that were just included. Out of those songs, I think Before Crisis has the best version of that, which I think it's Elf's theme.
So, just in case you guys missed it, what I just did was narrowly avoid saving random deep ground things from murdering children. And if I had hesitated, they would be dead. This game does not care about killing children. So this game super harsh compared to Remake.
Yeah, so it's probably the only thing that's game does right, is not caring about killing children. I'm kidding.
That guy just got.
This
That's awful.
this game is pro-choice.
No.
Okay.
Okay, wait a second. So, and on the subject of that, it gets way
Did you just
worse.
child murder as a segue?
No.
I did. I actually was like, there's actually more stuff with children in this game
Gotta
that
talk
is
more
not.
about child murder.
Okay, are we getting...
I just want to say that Otto did the service for all of us by calling out that this might be an after an after night stream.
This
Would
is
you
an
call it,
after
like,
hours
late night?
stream.
After hours.
This is, yeah, this is after hours. This is
For those of you who are
After.
here, so I am completely sober, and
Actually, we all are.
unfortunately will have to be because I'm really bad at drinking, but at one point we will get these two just hammered on stream.
It takes a lot to get me hammered.
You
Period.
literally just have to like drop just a drop of alcohol into like some water, and I'm pretty much done. I'm like the lightest of lightweights. I've always
The
been
last
like that.
time that I was truly hammered was, I want to say, 3 or 4 Super Bowls ago. Whenever it was that, what was it, the Falcons or whoever it was fucked up and lost to the Patriots in like a spectacular way in the second half.
I'm not a big football guy, but I can definitely imagine. I've been a part of like several Super Bowls where I've just like, it's just an excuse for me to drink. It's pretty much what those
I
were.
just hate Tom Brady so much. I just hate him so. I have a custom mug that says "fuck Tom Brady."
I'm
that-
imagining that there's a lot of like profit to be made in hating a different team with like certain merchandise, and I never thought of that market until now. So
I mean, it's not official merchandise. It was made by a buddy of mine who had her
Oh.
own printing shop. But
well, that's pretty dope either way. But maybe there's some there's a penny to be made in there, I think.
if I could make money hating Crisis Core, I'd be so rich.
Well,
Ah.
Amazon recently had to stop a particular slogan that was said at last night's debate from being saleable on, because I guess it was trending so much. They had to, I don't know, avert the flow. I'm trying to reconnect my camera here, guys.
I hear
Sorry.
you. Don't worry about it.
But anyways, do you want maybe sort of kind of want to talk about where we are?
We're in Calm, which is actually the area that we are hopefully going to show up at the beginning or somewhere around the beginning of part 2 of Remake. So like this is actually one of the easiest things for anybody to do, and obviously since we're on stream, like showing this off, there's a lot of stuff in just this one area, since it's the first level, that you can take note of and be like, hey, like maybe this will show up. The one thing I would say is that it's highly doubtful that most of this scenery will be the same. The blue roofs, I guarantee, will be there.
Well, yeah, they were there in OG.
Yeah, they're in OG, and it's like a particular just style of this area that is carried over into DOC. And the one other aspect of Calm is that there's actually like a bit of like undiscussed lore behind like just the city. Is that it actually has a wall built around it to keep monsters from coming in. So if you guys are looking for like what kind of side quests you're probably going to be doing in Calm in part 2, you can almost guarantee. I'm gonna just call it that's probably gonna be a side quest.
Yeah, dude's gonna show up at the gate, and you have to be like, you have to tell him that you're going to the Prancing Pony, and your business is your own.
Right, exactly.
That's how it's gonna go down. Oh god.
Which is the gate right behind what?
Yeah, that gate. That's the one.
That big one. The other thing to note is that there's a church in Calm. Dude, it will be so awesome if you're just walking down an alley in Calm and just like a deep ground like soldier just bursts out for no reason, just as a nod. None of that's actually gonna happen.
That's not gonna happen.
I was thinking that there would be a bit of lore or a bit of a nod or an Easter egg that you might be able to see. Is that, and we didn't get to see it, but the opening cutscene of the game has these balloons because there's actually a celebration going on before like Deep Ground shows up in this area. There's a celebration of the anniversary, I guess, of like when Meteor was stopped. But there are all these like balloons that depict Meteor, and it would be really cool to see like one of those in like a shop or in somewhere else. I don't know, something to look into. This is
but if that ever happens in remake, you know that people are gonna go fucking crazy and be like, "This is proof that it's a time loop."
Yeah, it's all interconnected.
So
Shinra is in the picture in Shinra HQ.
do you want to point out what just happened?
Yes, I will. So back to what I mentioned at the beginning of the stream is that the technology that we saw the Deep Ground soldiers use to scan the individuals of COM, we see being used to determine a particular distinction between a clean person and one that is infected with geostigma, which is a huge compilation nod to Advent Children, which geostigma is created by Sephiroth's will, and over time, depending on, I guess, I don't know what the course of the virus or whatever you want to call it takes, but eventually it just kills you. So even after AC, where people might have thought that it's something that was gone after Advent Children, it's actually still around even 2 years later.
Wait, do we have to talk about how geostigma works again? Because it's very straightforward how the virus progresses.
If you want to take that one, I'm totally down.
Yeah, it's all emotions based. So anytime you feel any intense negative emotion, whether it's guilt or anger or hatred or just even extreme depression, it'll attack you on a cellular structure, and that's why it causes so much physical pain. And that's why it gets Cloud at very specific moments in Advent Children, like after he's reviewing all the voicemails from Tifa and, thinking about how he just ignores her calls and is ignoring his responsibilities. It flares up and his arm hurts. That's what it is.
Yes. That's like the best explanation that you could have probably given for it. So, I mean, and like I couldn't have said it better myself. Yeah, so it's just an important piece of lore just as context, but you wouldn't really... In Dirge of Cerberus, like, hardly anything is explained, so the fact that it's just mentioned offhand very quickly in the beginning of this game. And they will mention the pure live stream and all this other stuff, but it really doesn't ever come up in a clear way again, really. You kind of have to just, like, be looking for it, essentially. Yeah, the game is very dark, and Martin, I wish that this game was Bloodborne. I wish.
We all wish that he was playing Bloodborne instead.
We should do that one of these days. That would
we
be
should
fun
co-op Bloodborne.
Oh, we can do that. That's right.
I will stream Demon Souls at launch,
the remake,
by the way.
Yeah.
We should also co-op Demon Souls.
Yeah, they'll definitely have that.
Now that they ruined Spider-Man by giving Peter Parker a child's face, which makes it like seem even more like, I don't know, low-key disrespectful to Miles Morales.
Well, you know why they did that, right?
Tom Holland.
No.
Gene Garcia.
It was the reason why his face got changed so dramatically was to make him look more like Yuri Lowenthal, actually. I swear to God.
I don't know who that is. Who is that?
Okay.
He's the voice actor in that game.
Okay. That makes sense.
So,
that makes sense. Why not?
Like, he even went on Twitter and was just like, it's my fault, it was my stupid face.
He blames himself.
Yeah.
I was just born this way. Sorry, guys.
I think his exact words, it was my stupid bones and my stupid face.
Yuri Lowenthal, of course, being the voice of Johnny
and everyone
in
else.
Final Fantasy VII Remake.
I want to
only
play
other
Final
noted
Fantasy
role.
VII. I want to play a Final Fantasy VII remake where Yuri Lowenthal does every character.
I have no tie to any of the Spider-Man games other than this PS2 game that it was Spider-Man 2. That was a legit game. I like the movie, the newer set of them. They're pretty fun. Is it controversial to say that I like the Sam Raimi ones as well?
No, I mean except for 3. You're not allowed to like 3.
I've seen 3 since the theaters, to be honest.
It
Dude,
had emo.
Yeah, the emo hair.
Yeah.
Gene Garcia says, I want to hear Yuri Lowenthal say, "You can't fall in love with me." I mean, the closest you're gonna get to that is the cut content for Persona 4, where Yosuke basically confesses his romantic love for the protagonist, and they cut that.
This is why I have Sapphire around. Like, where else are you gonna get that little tidbit?
That's a real thing, and Yuri Lowenthal even voiced it. Like, it was ready to go in the game, and they cut it at the last second because no homo.
You can't do that.
Can't do it.
Who wants to see that?
I do. But then they sort of made it up to me in Persona 5 Royal, but I'm not as convinced, by it as other people.
I would love to do anything regarding like Souls or like Bloodborne lore, but the problem with that is that there's already such a heavy amount of coverage. Like, I got to the game late with like Bloodborne just to play it.
Yeah.
So, let alone like deconstruct it myself, and that's not like picking up and like riding a bike again. Like, that series like requires like extensive thought like most of the time. I feel like
it's more lore than narrative. Like,
yeah,
because it has to be. Like,
I love it to death for that, honestly. It's like,
I
actually
still stand by my statement that Bloodborne's story is abject nonsense, though.
Well, yeah, but you don't like things. That's like your deal.
But no, I love Bloodborne to death. The story is just
it's crazy bonkers. Yeah, it's crazy bonkers. But
like, no matter who I talk to about Bloodborne, they can't make the story make sense, and I'm like,
not with that attitude.
I think the point of it though is that there is some level of where there's just never gonna be a solid answer, and that was something that I had to
like basic like things like, where is the hunter's dream?
I have no.
When
idea.
did that start? Nobody.
What is the hunter's dream?
Yeah, that too.
How? Or whomst is it?
I've been watching somebody play Bloodborne, and I keep wondering what the story is. There's a ton of world building, but basically like no story. So yeah, most of the story is in the item description.
Yeah, there is a story there with Gurman and the old hunters, but it's nonsense.
Yeah, it's so obscure, and then like even like there's I think this is the last thing I ever did with the game. I'm so glad that we're talking about Bloodborne and we're not talking about Dirge of Cerberus, which is literally like right in front of us.
Yeah,
I love it. Bloodborne is a way better game.
That was a knock on a game that I liked unnecessarily so. But my point of bringing that up is just to say that like I think that there's like an item in a Chalice dungeon that was like super like it's like the last boss of a Chalice dungeon, and like it seemed significant, but at the same time the item was so vague. That's where I was just like, I don't think anyone's ever gonna come up with like enough of an answer to satisfy anybody.
And then Bati Vidya's like, hold my beer.
Guys, it's a boss.
Oh,
it is a boss. It's a copter.
Can you tell me the lore relevance of this copter?
Devil May Cry 2 did the same thing.
There you go. This is actually pretty typical of a boss, right? In like a shooter game, I would imagine, right? Like some sort of like helicopter or something like that.
No.
You know, there's
easy.
Answer me this question.
This is not no.
The first ever helicopter boss in any shooting game.
I was actually gonna give you guys a trivia question. There is another boss. There's another. Yeah, Time Crisis was actually something I was thinking about when we were talking about like shooting. Like, dude, that game is so much fun. There's another boss in a compilation that is a helicopter.
Yeah,
Where
it's
is it?
Before Crisis, and it's still
Yeah. You got that one way too quick. But yeah, there's a Before Crisis boss that's a helicopter.
like you ask a Before Crisis trivia question and expect me to not get it in 2 seconds.
I
Come
know,
on,
that's
man.
a terrible thing. I'm wondering if there's more of those around, those kinds of connections. That would be great. I know that.
I don't know that that's a connection. I always look at a helicopter boss fight in a game like this as just lazy.
Is the center of comm also a 10-point structure? Like in the middle, like the reactors are 8, however many reactors there are?
Can I look after this?
No, obviously you have to stop. Oh wow, that actually took a pretty significant amount of damage for a boss. The other thing to look forward to is some Before Crisis lore, because we actually see several cutscenes in the game taking place right here, where
When Bell
Baby
blew
Seal
up the
is.
town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is all gonna be like, so if they include anything, like why the hell not include the things that actually like have character relevance?
Well,
Because I think
can
a
you
lot
talk
of it
about
is
the fact
just,
that,
like-
that Calm has gone through the exact same thing as Nibelheim
Yeah,
for
point.
the viewers?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, what did you want to say, Otto, about?
Well, I was gonna. I don't fucking know. What was I gonna say?
We were talking about character relevance with.
Oh, because a lot of it is backstory, so I don't think it's gonna be something that's part of like the main story. Maybe like an NPC might mention it while you pass by, but to take time out of the main story to go into it is distracting and irrelevant.
How cool would that be if there
I
were,
think
like...
it'd be more cool if we could just bomb it again.
Oh, that's so true.
Fuck you,
Yeah.
Bomb
helicopter.
it.
I don't
Yeah,
even
just
see the helicopter.
Cloud flies in on the helicopter.
They
This
did blow up in
helicopter
Naruto.
is so fucking stealth. The crafty ass helicopter.
The bombing of Calm is actually an accident. For
Hey,
do you call him Veld or you call him Verdo?
So was
Call him
I.
Veld. I called him Veld because that's his official localization name. Verdo is just the fan translation for Before
Oh.
Crisis, but officially he's localized as Veld.
Okay, so yeah, Veld accidentally put in an order. He didn't accidentally put in an order. There was a miscommunication on an order to bomb an area near Calm during a mission of his, and the transmission gets cut, and they interpret that transmission as being told to bomb Calm. So they bomb it, and Veld's family is killed, quote unquote. His daughter actually survives, and both Veld and his daughter, who ends up being a major player in Before Crisis, are taken to Nibelheim and experimented on. And one of the things that I'm actually interested in seeing in sequels, in part 2 and 3, is the discussion of materias inside of like mechanical pieces of limbs. Did you guys know about this with like Veld?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
also I just in general, like the way materia is equipped is interesting.
Big Ganon.
It's vague and undefined.
Yeah.
Well, it definitely works like in the concept of like, okay, like Barrett has his gun and like they have bracelets that equip these things and all this other
Yeah, and then
stuff. So I wonder,
Kadaj puts it in his arm, so
yeah,
you know.
exactly. Well, Kadaj isn't even really like a human, really.
Yeah, but
He like the darkness. He's like,
he
he's a
also
heartless.
summons out of a support materia anyway, so fuck.
Right. By the way, I will read some of this chat after I mention this, but one of the things that I was looking at when looking at Advent Children Complete was that the design of Bahamut Sin is really actually quite like detailed. Like I actually was going frame by frame, and there's actually engravings on like all of those like bone-like pieces of his face. And I was looking for similarities. Obviously, like I was knee
He
deep
looks
in
like the Final Fantasy X Bahamut.
Yeah, he does. He looks like if Final Fantasy X Bahamut fucked Sin. That's why he's called Bahamut Sin.
I
That's all.
actually had the like model toy for the Final Fantasy X Bahamut. It's been completely destroyed, and I don't know where it is at this point.
Why?
Because I don't know. It's just
So how did it get
a
destroyed?
long time ago.
What were you doing to it?
Maybe you shouldn't answer this.
Playing with it, probably. I like toys when I was a wee lad. There's no problem with this.
This is not what education is.
Sinner.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, sinning with it. Yeah. Yeah.
One thing that I would like to second now on the subject of sin is that one thing that I noticed about Bahamut Sin is that in the compilation or the complete version of Advent Children, his blood is purple, and there is blood in the complete version. So they actually made the decision to make Bahamut Sin's blood purple. So I just wanted to mention that offhand because I'm a sucker for that color. Here's my boy Azul.
God, I wish we were playing Before Crisis instead.
I don't know if you know what. That's one game that really would like, just for the sake of like, you could just so easily remake that game, so easily. And I'm not saying that it would be an easy feat, but like you immediately have people's attention if you wanted to remake that game. Too much time has gone by at this point. You see the lore relevant homing missiles of this transformation of
this furry that is currently on the screen,
who is wearing a kilt.
A dress, yeah.
I actually looked at the horns for this model as well, and they are also not matching with the Azul's. So it was one of those things where I was like, that's the one place where it's going to be, if any. Do I like the story of Azul Azul's story in Before Crisis? I don't. It's a nice tie-in. I don't really think too much about it, but you know what? If we ever get to like,
annoying from a lore perspective.
Yeah. I think it gives a little context to because we know that there are certain characters. This is like obviously me getting into DOC lore a little too much, but there's certain Spheats that come in and are like born on the outside of Deep Ground, and some that are born on the inside. And Azul, from what we know of Before Crisis, was one of those people who was enlisted into Deep Ground, having already been like this sort of like I guess crazed fighter who wanted to become a soldier in Costa del Sol. Which is also going to be a really fun reference if we get there and something like a fighting ring is like is mentioned. That would be a nice nod, or a boat with like soldier qualifiers being loaded onto it like a boat. All interesting references.
So Phantom Valentine asks, what's the possibility of them remaking some of Vincent's various monsters? You're gonna have to define remaking. I don't think that they're gonna scrap the designs and do something new.
Are you saying from like the DOC models or the OC models?
Probably OG.
OG. Probably Hellmasker is what he's talking about.
Like, because Vincent's limit breaks are all nods to like classic horror monsters. And so I don't think that they're just gonna throw that out. What I think they're gonna do is just make them look cooler, and we're just gonna have Dead by Daylight Vincent, and it's gonna be fucking rad.
I almost feel like if to take that like one step further, I think that's the most likely possibility. I would say what would be an interesting thing to do is to tie in the way that Deep Ground soldiers look now, or the Deep Ground like experiments. Like if you tie in like the red theme into it a little bit, I wouldn't mind that. But like keeping the simplicity of the designs from OG, I think would probably be like the preferred like direction to take for sure. Because
no, I want them to look grody and just fucking bonkers, like
just like super like out
like,
there random.
Yeah, no, like when I say Dead by Daylight, I mean I want them to look like a Dead by Daylight killer. That's what I want.
I've actually
I just feel like you're putting such a specific constraint that you are destined to be disappointed, Sapphire.
Why? I mean, his limit breaks are all nods to classic horror monsters and
I know, but
horror
you want
film
it to be
literature.
specific.
No,
okay.
I don't. I'm just saying I want it to look as cool as Dead by Daylight. That's all. I
Okay.
want it to look cool.
The killers in
I
that
think it
pretty
will
much
look cool.
are.
I think it will look cool, and I do think there will be lore nods, built in. I would much rather have Pennywise than Hellmasker, but Gene Garcia, that would be amazing.
You just have him honk around,
Oh,
honk.
oh,
And then, like, he has a special move where he comes up from, like, a sewer and shit.
What's that be like? I hate to say this, but like that's like something that you could do that I could see happening in not a good way, which is like these transformations have like personality differences.
Why you gotta say that? Put that in the universe.
Explain the transformations?
I'm not even entire. I know that chaos has lore relevance.
We only really know chaos, like how chaos works. I
Yeah,
hope they flesh this out.
Yeah, the only thing that's said about it in OG is when you give Vincent chaos and he goes, "I'm becoming less human." That's it. That's all it said.
Well, it's because he got that gene. He's
He got the
becoming
chaos.
genetically more chaosy. Okay. Real quick, we're about to introduce Reeve.
Oh God.
The Scottish leader of WRO.
Fucking Reeve.
Okay, so Reeve doesn't have a Scottish accent.
I don't know.
And
parents do.
Ketchi,
the large one called himself
Azul.
Ketchi having a Scottish accent is
just
a reference to the fact that in the OG
that could only mean
and in the Japanese AC, Ketchi did have a different accent.
Yeah, he spoke with a Kansai dialect, which you can't do in
later.
English because we don't have like really different dialects. You have to do an accent.
So the reason they probably chose Scottish is because Ketchi is a Gaelic name, and so it's Scottish.
But I want absolutely no
It's actually
part of it.
Scottish and Portuguese folklore. There's a branch of Gaelic culture that lives in Portugal, believe it or not, called the Galicians. That
Oh no.
Anyways, Reeve just died.
Reeve is now.
I didn't realize this was so early in the game. Oh, I hate it.
Oh my God, his body.
I fucking hate it.
Oh my God, his heart is a cat.
I hate everything about
This
this.
is a new injection into a lore. This cat.
I really wish this hadn't happened ever. Oh my God.
The Crown has a certain type of. Actually, if you want to really like get into this, there is some lore attached to like Kate Sith in this game, or Cat She is that.
There lore about Reeve's mullet?
I wish. It was a transformation from his youth.
Olympics hero. How do you know he wasn't Scottish?
No one will ever know, unfortunately.
In Final Fantasy VI, like, did you hear his voice or?
I heard all of their voices.
Oh shit! I need that version of the game.
There is a.
We gotta clip that.
I don't know how to do that.
Well, I'll figure it out.
There is a couple of things that were mentioned up here that I want to make sure that I get to. I love Vincent too. That's one of my favorites. I'm actually the most excited to see his transformation in remake. They've done a pretty amazing job with like characters that I felt pretty lukewarm about in general, and making them into like me being excited at least to see like where they're taking them. So I'm super excited for Vincent, especially since he has like the most like character potential to like grow and be explored. I'm very excited to explore Vincent. now.
Who do you think? I think if they reinstate one VA, it might be him.
Oh, I would love that.
It might be Steve Bloom. He's got such good cred. Not that Newbern doesn't, but just like, but if not, who would you like to see? Jack Quaid. No,
Danny DeVito.
I don't know.
David Hayter would be good.
That would be a dope one. That's smart. Robert Pattinson or Jack Quaid.
Okay.
You know what? Our path would not be the worst.
No, but he's expensive. He's Batman now. Like
yeah, he is expensive.
But he loves Final Fantasy.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah,
he loves Final Fantasy 7.
And he loves 7. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank God. You like talk about a way to like turn your career around in like two, 3 steps. Make it
our path, man.
No, yeah, dude, he stopped making trash movies a while ago. The Lighthouse is amazing.
Yeah,
dude, I just watched The Lighthouse the other day, and that sure was a movie that happened.
I knew it. I fucking knew as soon as you opened your mouth about the Lighthouse.
I'm still not entirely sure what happened in that movie.
I don't even know what happened.
I'm very uncertain as to the events that occurred in that movie.
I'll tell you after. I could do a whole expose on the mythology behind the Lighthouse.
I would like that because all I took away from that was moonshine plus mercury poisoning equals bad.
Pretty much. that's the same as I was just like, this is just all gonna go wrong. It's essentially this.
Which I know that's not what they were doing, so I was just like, that's all I got though.
It's still a fun watch, I would say. Like, it's definitely weird. Like,
it was not what I expected. That's
damn you, Laszlo. Have any of you? I highly encourage all viewers and current streamers to look up SpongeBob plus the Lighthouse. Somebody did us
I
all
need to
the
do this
favor.
right now. I'm gonna
Somebody
do it right
did
now.
us all the service of editing together the Lighthouse with SpongeBob SquarePants. And
I'm gonna watch this right now.
I can tell you all right now that it's probably one of the most perfect unions of two pieces of media that I've ever seen. Like compilation, like second, but
this music is such trash. By the way,
I'm telling you.
I just want to mention. I just wanted to take an aside. Like it just feels so Final Fantasy 12, which is fine.
Mr. Vincent Valentine.
But
I'm an officer
also,
of the Genesis organization.
It's Final Fantasy 7.
Speak with me if you require
It's actually ironically the easiest music to edit to for me because it's so generic that it kind of just fit. It's like whoever was in charge of like telling the composer. I don't know who the composer was for this game, but it felt like they're just like, okay, now it's happy, it's sad, and there was like no like, I don't know how to explain it, like a story connection, like a detailed understanding of like what was actually happening in the game. It feels very unfocused, but it helps with editing. You can kind of just throw whatever in there; it kind of works. I'm trying to think of. There's actually a song I like in Dirge of Cerberus, like just out of like the OST. I would say Darkness is pretty good, which is like Mirror's theme, and then there's I think it's called the Life Stream or the Pure Life Stream. Oh, the Pure Stream.
Yeah, the Pure Stream. I like that too, actually.
It was one
I like that for like non-Final Fantasy 7 reasons.
Yeah, and that's the only takeaway that I have with like most of the soundtrack of this game.
Gold
it just
Stream.
doesn't. Gold Stream, yeah, pretty much.
So I just watched that SpongeBob shit.
I think Solva, like, if that's, am I saying that right? Solhava? Is that right? Somebody can correct me on that, but
And also, hi Solhava, I was really happy that you reached out to me earlier. I'm very excited to go through all that stuff.
Do we know who this is?
Yeah.
Okay, and then I think I'm...
Solhava and I are super tight.
Okay, cool.
Where the fuck have you been?
Here. I was saying, do you know... I was trying to be subtle about, like, knowing them personally or not. You know what I mean?
No, they
so
didn't.
I didn't want to... I've seen the name.
I feel like we're close already, but I will admit to have just having my first interaction with them today. But we're already like super tight. So.
We're already there. We're already here.
I mean, that's what happened with us, basically. Like one conversation, and it was like, well, what if we just became the most
Now we're just like,
people ever?
now we're just best friends. So just sign here, and
This is
make
not
it
a
official.
cult.
This
Dude,
is not a cult.
Like, just to make an aside, like, I would like to personally say that COVID, this whole year, 2020, would have been much harder without the two people that are talking with me right now.
Oh, it's very sweet of you to say, Baby Seal, and I would second that. And you guys just in general have been like such a huge help, like in I don't know. It was kind of, it's a bittersweet thing, obviously, everything that's happening in the world, but it's awesome that, like, I don't know, certain things happen for a certain reason. So, in my mind,
Destiny.
it is destiny.
It is. The Whispers brought us here, bro.
Oh God, they're back!
Yeah, they brought us here, bro.
Ah, I'm turning up my AC. I could get this. Yeah, that's as far as that goes.
Yep.
I have to put. The whispers have touched me, and I've lost track of what I was saying before. So this is the infamous Church, and also second fight with Dragonfly, who has badly been beaten by Baby Seal's large Cerberus. All three of them.
I cannot believe you remembered the name of this chopper.
I only just read it,
It
too.
says
I'm
it
so
right
proud.
here.
Oh, my stream must be
It was
lagging.
before. No, it was before it even came up.
Because yeah, for me it was before it came up.
Yeah. Same.
This guy.
I'm not just trying to like tout my own horn or anything. Who's gonna forget the memorable boss of Dirge of Cerberus, Dragonfly? Come on, guys.
Dragonfly L, get it right.
Oh my
Excuse me.
god. Oh my god. My fucking mistake. I don't even know what to do with myself
What do you think
anymore.
GL stands for?
Good luck, have fun.
Good luck.
Like me. I don't know. That's a good question. I'm wondering if there. You know what? I have the manual. I have the untranslated manual of Dirge of Cerberus, which is not.
I cannot imagine that being
Proud of it.
anything but supremely helpful right now. Genesis love for sure.
Greatest lore.
It is the best lore. I don't know what it's looking
Goodest.
for with those. By the way, Vincent just appears on top of the.
Oh, he's just floating up. See that? The asset didn't load in. He was just floating.
He does have the ability to float. That's just
That was crazy.
This is as consistent as this story gets. After calm, like just it's where like everything just devolves because we get into a car and there's an auto scroll next, which is hilarious. This Church and Calm though is something also to look out for in remake, guys, because it actually has a lot of similar assets that we can't actually see because we only experience the outside of the church in story mode. But in Dirge of Cerberus, there was a multiplayer mode for the Japanese players of it. We never got it in America. You can access it on European versions of the game, I think.
You could.
But it wasn't available to actually play. But in the multiplayer, you actually had calm as a map, and you can go inside of the church here, and it actually has a lot of similarities to Aerith's Church in Final Fantasy VII OG, and some things that have been consistent throughout the entire compilation, which is kind of interesting. Mainly just the interior look of it, in the concept art and all this other stuff. That asset looks so out of place.
Why don't the lady soldiers wear pants?
I just thought that sentence was gonna end with lady.
Why
don't the lady? And I was like,
why don't the lady soldiers have pants?
because the designer of them was all Nomura's design.
Good work, Vincent.
Nomura, ladies need pants.
ladies in general in this game are not the
Good.
best featured.
However, we still require your assistance.
They're not well featured in general in this game. There's a lot of weird stuff, and
They're
I'm
not
actually
well featured in like the entire compilation. I don't know what happened in the compilation, but it needs to stop.
Genesis love for sure, botanical. Genesis love for sure.
Pants are
This game is
Whispers don't wear pants.
Whispers don't,
They wear robes.
and they're all ladies.
They wear robes for easy access, man.
Oh, jeez.
I said it.
Whispers are pants. Gene Garcia, thank you for getting us all in line with the actual lore.
Yeah, that's just
And
canon. This is true.
We should have known better, really.
Yeah.
Lucrezia's story needs a thorough rewrite. Yes, 100%. I actually think that if there's one thing that I would like to see happen is something with Lucrezia's story, because there's absolutely nothing there. There is only mystery and unexplained happenings with her story.
I liked her so much more when she was just a scientist who wanted to do the science things.
Instead of somebody who's just like constantly apologizing.
Yeah, like in OG, the way that it was framed was she rejected Vincent because she wanted to do the science things and she was cool with it. And then it wasn't until after she actually like gave birth and became a mother that she was like, "Oh wait, this is probably fucked up for me to do."
Right, and that's actually something that if anything, they need to. That's the one character they should probably just revert a little bit. They need to take a step back.
Yeah,
Because-
she was fine in OG. Like,
And I mean,
I understood her choice in OG. Like,
Right.
if I was in her spot, I probably, as much as I hate to say it, I probably would have chosen Hojo too.
Yeah, it's and also there's more reasonable explanation for those happenings rather than what happens in Dirge of Cerberus. Most of the plot of this, when you get down to just like character motivations and stuff like that, it's awful. It's pretty bad.
I mean, I hear you guys saying all this, but I think we're gonna find out exactly why Hojo was chosen
Oh no. Oh no.
at the beach scene
I hate this.
at Costa del Sol.
Fun side commentary here is Nomura's
Hojo Mojo!
design. Oh my god. Yes.
Yes. So proud.
We are all upset, by the way, that Hollander was not the Smash character announced, but we'll get there.
Oh,
guys.
absolutely. Yeah,
The
yeah.
representation's there, the fan base is there. We'll pull through. Rosso is the Nomura's favorite design from this game. He went on record to say that out of all the characters he designed for Dirge of Cerberus, which he designed all of them for the most part, he thought that Rosso the Crimson was the most unique and the most interesting design. And
I mean, visually, he's right. Visually, she is the most interesting.
terrible character.
But she looks fucking cool.
Yeah,
What's
she does
wrong
look
with
really.
her?
Former president.
She just doesn't like, and this is one thing I would say is that I like most of like the deep ground characters, but I think one of the things that I have to constantly frame in my head as far as context is concerned is that most of like these characters' stories aren't really elaborated on that much unless you go and watch Japanese cutscenes of a multiplayer that nobody had access to.
Or you read the game manual that didn't ship translated.
That's why there's so little
Right,
information.
exactly.
However,
It's
nothing like
it's
our
awful. That's like how this game needs to be enjoyed. But Rosso actually could be the most interesting of the Sviets because she's like, I've never seen the outside, and like there's hints of that in there where she's like, oh man, like I've never like had like rainfall on my face and stuff like that, which I think is like
and the head of
some
biochemical research.
callback to something else. But
Hojo.
here we
Soldier
hear
first
After the
class.
president's death, the transfer of power
Welcome.
to his son was carried out
Oh,
so quickly
shit.
that
Welcome,
Dr.
welcome.
was briefed on the project.
We're playing
As for me, I
the
was told
the
information
best
was on a need-to-know
game in the
basis.
compilation.
We're doing a thing.
Development, I guess
The
I
real
wasn't on the
OG, as I like
All
to
the
call
intel
it,
we currently
Dirge
have
Cerberus.
on deep ground
I'm dying.
only
This game is
discovered
killing me.
recently when we came
I'm
across
gonna
some
turn
of
on
Scarlet's old files.
subtitles after this because
Oh, that's right.
you guys can't shut up, so nobody knows what's happening.
Nobody needs to know what's
Vincent,
happening.
Have you heard of the
Essentially,
That's fair.
I'll just brief it. Is Reeves is briefing Vincent on the fact that people are going missing, and it might have something to do with this
That's what the report would
secret
like you to believe.
project of President Shinra
He
called
was
Deep
determined
Ground
internally if
that
the
only
truth
him
was
and
leaked,
some
they
of the
wouldn't be able
higher
to
ups knew
contain the
about.
inevitable
Which
panic.
is outrageous. Can we talk about how
The actual
outrageous
number of
that
people
is?
that went
Oh, I
missing
have
that
so
day.
many things to say about
Like,
how
the
much I think
fact
this
that
does.
the Turks did not know about
1,200
this
people simply
is
vanished without a
absurd.
single trace.
I
The
mean,
WRO conducted
I
a
almost
private investigation.
think that it's the most interesting
came up
idea of
empty
this
handed.
entire game is Deep Ground. And there's like just a
Except for
lot
the
of things.
rumors.
Like, and I'll say
Since
this
the
is
Junon
that there's
disappeared,
enough
people in Edge
here
have
to
been
like just
Edge.
remain like a
They say
complete
that night
mystery.
after
But
night,
I
you can hear
agree. It's
screams
like,
coming
well, the
from the
Turks also
direction
didn't know
of
about
Midway.
Avalanche until they decided to go on the offensive when they decided to blow up a reactor.
Well, because in the original canon, Avalanche wasn't really a thing until that moment. Like, they were just this group of. They were basically a book club at that point, and then it
Right.
wasn't until they started bombing shit. So why would the Turks know about them?
That was the weird. There's like a weird phrasing of that, which is that like in the lore it says when Avalanche goes on the offensive, like it's not like they become known or like appear. It's like when they go on the offensive. So it's almost insinuated that this is my man Vice going on national television. Don't ask me when this actually takes place because there's actually there's no
Hey,
discernible time that this can actually happen. This
Sleepezi, when does this take place?
Vice is unconscious in this entire game for those who just don't know. So the fact that he's talking here has literally zero, like there's zero knowledge as to how this is happening. I would call it a plot hole almost, if we will.
Wouldn't it
Which this
track
game-
that it's Hojo using?
Hojo is not so.
Hojo
Vice,
is dead.
Okay,
Vice-
no. So it's not obviously living Hojo. It's Hojo uploaded into the Midgar internet.
Where could that signal have?
yes, Silva. So I can't. I'm sorry.
That sentence just. Oh, all my insides hurt.
It is adult Chadley. That's
Okay.
the only explanation. Here's the rail shooter that everybody's been dying for.
You know I'm right about this.
Guardhounds.
That basically Hojo is the Deep Ground. He's the Facebook algorithm
I'll
now.
take care of your pet problem.
And so
Just keep
he
trying.
basically just rendered that image,
Listen. Use this.
you know, of Vice, his new chosen avatar.
So
See, there's
what you're
continuity.
saying is Dirge
He
of
used
Cerberus.
Inspire on it.
You're saying that Dirge of Cerberus takes from "I have no mouth and I must scream." That's what I'm hearing.
Let's not overcomplicate that.
Not everything is references, Ottawa.
I do.
It's a Square Enix game, so I'm gonna have to disagree with that statement.
Is there more references to that book in other Final Fantasy games?
I don't know. I haven't thought about it.
I like the I haven't read it, but I know the concept of that, and it's so crazy to me. I love it. I don't know how it reads though. Is
It's
it a
been
game too,
years.
right? It's like
What's
a
that?
game.
Yeah, the game's great. The game's really good. It's a point and click. It's awesome.
I've seen clips of it and it looks crazy.
It's
and I
dope.
would be so down.
It's real good.
Yeah, so he does love books. Genesis loves books. He only liked the one, it
He
seems
only
like.
likes one book though.
I mean, apparently he's read The Study of Planet Life, if you want to theorize about that a little bit, which is my controversial take on that. But I would think that he might have somewhere know-it-all of that.
I feel like Genesis can't read, and he just has Loveless memorized because he had somebody read it to him over and over and over again, and he's just faking reading it.
Ironically,
he's pretty smart. Remember, he invented Benora White.
That doesn't mean that he can read.
Doesn't mean
you don't
he
have
can't.
to read and be a genius, baby seal.
Yeah, it's true.
Why am I being attacked for this?
Why am I the bad guy? all of a
I
sudden?
had your back on Genesis for once.
You're so right. You're so right. I'm
For
sorry.
once.
Let's just get this cleared up. By the way, we are currently standing on top of an RV shooting at dogs.
Dude, silver streams or these like Airstreams.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've been looking into getting them, and just being an Airstream makes you like adds $40,000 to the price of a trailer.
That's ridiculous.
Right? Like, just why? Like, just the retro look? Like, come on.
Nah,
Anyways, welcome everybody to this
I don't know what we're doing.
the
Airstream
stream
talk.
starts now. By the way, can anybody tell me where we are in
I'll
the
be fine.
on the world
That's more
map
than I
of
can say for the engine.
Final Fantasy VII at this point?
Yes,
Vincent,
It's
if
we
broken.
are.
Right.
We are
Choose to
on
continue on to
the
Edge.
cliffs in between
that
Midgar and
transmission
Calm.
we just saw troubles me. Once I have repaired
That
the shadow
actually
box,
sounds like the most
I'll need to
sound
return
and
to
vague
headquarters.
answer at the same time.
WRO
I think
squad
we're
has already
really
been
close
dispatched to Edge.
to healing.
Join them and help them
Yeah, that's
break
probably accurate too.
My narration is a 10 out of 10.
Yes, I have no choice.
Thank you, Botanical. I appreciate that.
Yeah, Midgar Waste. Yeah, that's what I think too.
Okay.
Subtitle. Zach's grave. God, don't get him fucking started on Zach. Just over here grumbling to myself.
So that's about it on the DOC lore.
Yeah, Dirge of Cerberus has no extra lore. That's it.
And that's it.
That's
And
it.
Actually,
That's
this
the
is
whole
the game's
game.
credits right here.
The game actually ends about 20 minutes from now, and then it's over.
Did anybody know that, like, honest to God, like, I never knew that there was a mobile game for this until, like, I think part 2 of my video series, which I thought was hilarious.
You can tell that you learned that recently. You listened to part 2 of the video based on how excited you sound to mention it. Like, you are so fucking stoked in video 2.
I was actually, at that point, I was so glad that I was able to mention it. Because it was one of those things, like, Last Order had not been mentioned. I haven't mentioned Last Order at all. But I just, like, was super happy to show some footage of it. And then when Lost episodes came up and it was relevant, I was like, yes, I'm so excited.
Okay, real quick, you can't really make out the asset of this because it's
Awful.
You just can't. But the WR logo is Kate Sith's face.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes,
I'm
it is.
sorry, Pet Cheese face.
It is. It is Chadley.
I want that to become a meme. I just want us to, every time we look at something, be like, is this Chadley?
Guys, if you stare into this texture long enough, oh my gosh, this cutscene. It's Chadley. Look at the white hair. This is where he goes. Yeah, that would be crazy if Chadley turned into a dog and developed like a pack mentality and raised.
Dude, that'd be fucking dope.
This sounds like Wolf's Rain now, and I'm in. Shout outs to Wolf's Rain. Another one of Bones' messes.
Chadley is Red's wife. Oh my god. There's a lot to unpack here.
I'm playing the theme song for Wolf's Rain in my head right now because it's the only fitting music and I can't hear the audio of this game. So this is pretty much the game, which is just unfortunate, is that you kind of are just running around hoping that A, you're hitting what you're trying to shoot, because just the controls are god awful.
They're so bad.
And then, or not being locked into being smacked till death. Try playing this game on expert in any level, and it's pretty nightmarish. Honestly, it's
You know what
not.
would have been a great thing for this game?
This, by the way, is hard.
You serious? You're playing it on hard?
Yeah, but
I don't
it's
know
like New
why
Game
you're
Plus. It's like so it's like very not fun. I haven't unlocked hard expert yet, but I will.
I just for the sake of research, I just grabbed whatever file was more easily accessible for like the memory card. I guess it happened to be on expert, and I played it for like 2 seconds and just immediately got destroyed. I will be interested in seeing these guns show up in remake as well.
Yeah, they're cool.
They definitely will. Like, and so also
They're gonna be, you know what they're gonna be? They're gonna be like keychain equipping to the gun. How much you want to bet? Because those have materia slots in them, right? That's gonna be there.
Moving on. Okay, so talking about the things that I know, all three of Vincent's weapons that aren't, you know, his final weapon, his ultimate weapon, are
his Omega
figures. Are figures from Greek mythology, and they are central to the mythology of Heracles, otherwise known as Hercules. And of course, you know, the Hydra, Griffin, and then do you guys know what the third one is?
Cerberus.
That's right.
I did not know that.
Cerberus has a in comparative mythology can be tied to Fenrir in a lot of ways, because Fenrir is the guard of Niflheim, which is like it eventually becomes the equivalent of Hades, or Hell.
If you just stop and shoot like as they pass you, I think that's how this boss is fought. I'm not even kidding. Like, you just stand and just shoot like in one direction.
You know what this game really would have benefited from? Being released 2 years later so that it could just take from Resident Evil 4.
Yeah,
actually, I would love a Resident Evil 4 style game. Except for that, it's not quite mobile enough. I would actually, more likely, I don't know. I still think Bayonetta would be a better
kind of like thematic fit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
Or even, yeah, Bayonetta, DMC.
Something just kind of like ludicrous to kind of match that and like give that energy into it. Inject.
Well, now that they've fucking stolen the combat designer from Devil May Cry 5, they could do that.
Oh,
but he's gonna be working on 16.
They
should put him on 7R and have him do Vincent.
I'm gonna tell you. Well, that's why you switch him over to remake. Maybe even for future installments. I would be so okay with that. Like, not even gonna lie, just like at least a little collaboration or tweaking.
I want Final Fantasy VII Remake 2 to be like Dark Souls hard. Like, it just,
I want it to just be Dark Souls.
Drop off all the casuals. Like, I'm tired of you. Like, get out of here.
I want it to play like Dark Souls. I just want it to be Dark Souls.
You mean like in the way that like how open the game world is?
No, I mean in the way that the combat works.
I like the combat of 7R. I just wish that it were harder.
By the way, just for those who don't know anything about Rosso, she is essentially just a character who has grown up underground and is lost her mind, and the only thing that makes her happy is being literally covered in the blood of the people that she's killed. That's the only thing that actually like satisfies her or gives her any
I
joy.
know, that's why she's the only good character in this game.
But we call her.
She's my role model, and I want to be her when I grow up.
I want that like, I don't know
She
what that.
seems like a
bird is.
Kojima villain, to be totally honest.
Yeah, I
She
can see
could
that.
very easily be a Metal Gear boss.
But
Yeah.
that's
I made
why
a Metal Gear reference earlier.
Your
Metal
WRO.
Gear. Yeah.
Who's
Yeah.
that?
Who fucking Nomura with this character design? She probably has the worst design in the entire game.
In the
I think
entire,
Shulk is the
in
My
the
apologies.
entirety of Final Fantasy, in my opinion.
Of the WRO.
See, I think Shulk is a
awful.
little like worse than this.
Well,
Why does just a closed one eye? I hate it. I hate it so much.
She looked better in the Before Crisis, actually.
She looked
She's-
great before Crisis. She just was wearing normal clothes.
I just don't understand how you put a lab coat over that. Like, it's just so weird.
Or the squads that were sent out.
She looks like she was pulled from 10-2.
Also,
Just dropped in this world, and then
You're missing
has
the
more
obvious-
lab coat.
You're missing the obvious thematic
well, this
relevance
kid was
of her choice
Like I
in
said,
design
this
is
is
because
I'm going to eat your heart.
her like pieces of her body are missing because she has searched so long for her sister that her clothes are also in the same way, stitched together, and she's like a friend.
And also, she breathes from her skin, so she has to.
Yeah, she has to wear
And
only
you will regret your words and deeds.
I do think that Rose of the Crimson is like the most like Metal Gear character, and I think that kind of feeds back into what you're saying earlier, is that maybe this game could have benefited from maybe leaning into that sort of like craziness a little bit more with like a Bayonetta theme. By the way, jukeboxes, not gonna lie, this is it.
I mean,
I hate
where else would you buy your weapons?
Yeah, you gotta get the scope from the jukebox. That's just how real life works. Like they're not doing
That's-
anything new.
That's where I go.
Yeah.
Secret vending machine in
They're not even
part.
secret. They're on like every corner.
I'm saying in remake, secret vending machine that gives you Vincent's weapon. I'm fine with this. Please take my idea, Square. I would love you if you did.
Imagine if we were sitting in like that boardroom with the developers. They
kill
would fucking
us.
shoot us.
They would want us beneath the grounds that they walk and be like, this is where we bury the morons that think that we're gonna listen to anything that they have. Oh, I am still hopeful though that the game will be fun at least. You know,
I think the game will be fine. I think it'll disappoint everybody a little, but still be great. Like, I don't know what-
Nomura, why is Jack Quaid here? Fucking shit. Oh man. Oh yeah, and Arin's in the game too, guys. I don't know if you knew that.
Dude, if Arin was in the game, it would be Game of the Year all years.
Okay. No.
How
Like,
Yeah.
psyched would you be if his theme kicked in just randomly?
I'd fucking lose my shit. You would
I'm not
never
sure
see
if
me
anybody
again. I would
knows what we're talking about, but a certain
It's a-
content provider we don't typically talk about posted a 15-minute video on the subject of Auron's inclusion, his secret inclusion, in the original Final Fantasy VII Remake trailer. Here's the thing about that. He wasn't, like, at all.
It
Like,
was-
it was just something that
You know what, you're just a
vaguely
hater.
resembled the shape.
Come on, man. Like, it is him. Even if it was him, like it would
Okay,
have been.
can we talk about this though?
You're gonna get killed. But yeah, we can talk about the Loveless sign. It is in every game. It's in Before Crisis too.
So this is the latest incarnation of Loveless in chronologically. And what do we take any significance to the fact that the poster makes it look like, I don't know.
Dark remake.
Yeah, like it's like the like Jack Ryan with Ben Affleck.
I was hanging on every word of what you were saying, and then I could decipher almost none of that. But
Yeah, my brain definitely blanked out at that. Jack Ryan, oh my god.
Jack Ryan and Ben Affleck, is that actually a thing? I don't mean to demean you. I'm sorry. I put you down, and you were making a connection that I don't understand, but I'm sure that it's perfect.
No, it wasn't.
Perfect.
It wasn't. It was intentionally awful.
Okay, well, good.
No, Jack Ryan has been played by several people over the years. Like, been played by, well, Ben Affleck.
Jack Quaid.
He's been played by most recently, he's in the Amazon series with the
John Krasinski.
with Krasinski,
I don't know how I pulled that out of my ass so fast.
and then
It's in the chat.
oh, was in that?
Oh, was it?
Yeah. And then let's see who else. Who else played Jack Ryan?
I didn't even know that there were this many versions of it. I just know that Jack Ryan is
Tom Clancy.
Right, exactly. You know what? I just
Alec
realized.
Baldwin too.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
That's
for Red
weird.
October, bro.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh look,
Wow,
Hydra. Ooh.
What could this possibly be?
Hydra Flask. Okay.
I was gonna mention that we're just so people have some context for where we are. I don't know if it was really understood very well. We're actually in the city of Edge right now.
And this, by the way, is where you get the ultimate weapon. It's in this level.
Isn't this like the second chapter?
Yeah, it's the toy gun. And
We were thinking that we were almost done.
Yeah.
And this is not even like partially through the game.
I know.
I know that you're so stoked for the rest of it though, so.
But we're gonna do it. And just in case you guys are all wondering, we're gonna be here through the entirety of this game. This is going to be a 11-hour stream.
Okay. Alright.
I have now just decided that I am okay with this.
Yep, let's do it.
I
That
hate
was
to
a
do this to
lie.
you.
I probably have 15 to 30 more minutes before I die.
Thank you for giving us that conclusive answer. At least a time frame, you know. Gotta work in 12 hours. Well, I mean, 1 hour to shower after the stream, bro. Like, that's what this is gonna take. It's gonna take some willpower. I was gonna say, Clark, there's street names on the textures in Dirge Cerberus around that you were walking past, and there's a particular street name called like Sleep Avenue, something like that in Advent Children, which is this has like zero, like I don't know what any of this means, but all of the I think that's where the new Seventh Heaven is at. It's on the same
Sleep
street.
Avenue.
Something like that. I'll look into it again, but if Sleep Avenue is depicted on that sign, it would be a nice little nod there. Why do I know that? And why is it relevant? I'll tell you guys why. So anyway, we're transforming into... Is this... I don't even... There's no, like, discernible landmarks according to, like, what I'm seeing here. This might be
It's
the...
just kind of a shithole, man.
This might be... This is the statue.
Yeah, dude, this is where it gets torn down.
Right. So I guess they rebuilt it, like, in the worst...
A little bit, yeah.
They didn't have the budget. They really wanted to give it their all with the first version, but after the second...
It's only been a year, and it was a monument. Okay?
I've spent a sick amount of time looking at fountains in the compilation, and if I had known that this was here, I probably would have looked into this as well. But I'm kind of happy that I didn't.
Hey, look at this edge car.
That car edges you.
That
That's what
is
it does.
edgy. Wow, we both went for just the best, just the top of the line convoy, really.
Yeah, we're doing good work.
Where this is Minerva's work that we're doing here.
Oh no. It's Rosso's car.
Dude, Rosso could sell the shit out of a car.
I thought you were gonna say Rosso could sell the shit out of edging, and I'd be like, yeah, she probably could.
Oh, you know, now that you mention it, yes. I think she would probably be a good spoke. Honestly, like, it would be awesome to see like more references to like deep ground characters.
That is
Going
not
forward.
where I thought that sentence was gonna go.
No.
But you're just like that.
I'm still thinking about edging.
I know, and I think a bunch of people are wondering what you mean by it. And
Nah.
some
Holy
No,
people,
they know.
Personally
You know.
tickled by it, so I
some
think
people are Googling it now.
Good.
And if you are learning about it from this stream, you're welcome.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
and Hail Hydra. To you.
Botanical has me figured out. Anything
Yeah.
not talk about Cerberus.
As long as she can bob and weave through that conversation. And you know what? The worst part about it is that we're not even like into the lore of this game yet. Like there's so
Game hasn't even really
See,
started.
Look, you can even see the little meteor.
Yeah, it's kawaii.
It's coming out. It's coming along.
You know what would have been sick is that if the secret boss of this area was like a Bahamut Sin.
It was like
See,
meteor.
this is- Oh, dude.
Fight the
Don't
meteor.
even start it. Wouldn't that be like a really cool thing to see? And like, this is like obviously, I'm not thinking about when I say this. Take this with a grain of salt. I'm not thinking about lore. I'm not thinking about story structure, and I'm not thinking about anything other than just my fanboy brain screaming at me, wanting to see this. It would be so awesome to see a Bahamut Sin fight in the Gloria that is like remake graphics.
Dude,
like,
that shit's so huge.
That's what I'm saying. It's just, but like, just being in the town square and having like civilians running past you.
Oh
and
yeah,
stuff.
just kill those civvies, man. Fuck them.
That's right. Yeah, you just knock them over with your sword.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, just cut them in half to get Bahamut.
I think it would be too sick. Somebody brought that question up in a comment recently. Is
What?
If remake is sort of like this sequel of the compilation, they were saying like, do you think that we will eventually like get to like Advent Children at some point?
No, I think it's gonna end with Meteor Fall.
It would be interesting.
I think they already did the Advent Children part of it.
Survivors spawn.
Yeah.
Don't let him escape.
I agree with that, but it would be interesting knowing, like, depending on how this game does, like, where they're gonna take it after concluding it.
I don't think it's gonna go much past Meteor Fall. I think you're gonna get like a nice little bow tie on all the individual characters, like a where are they now, and that's just it.
Do you think that there's no potential chance for maybe the Dirge of Cerberus of remakes to show up, or?
Are you trying to kill me?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
but that's besides the point. Yeah, it was just an interesting thought to think that like maybe like if this series does well, like if they will expand on it further, depending on the direction.
Garcia keeps bringing up Urguys. I think I'm one of maybe 50 people on the entire planet who actually owns a copy of Urguys.
You're actually not the only one.
No, I
I
love
do
your
too.
guys.
Oh shit! Did we like just the 3 people who own it just happen to?
Yeah, we all just happen to be here.
That's the
I
red
love-
line that goes to each and every one of us. That's how we know each other.
I love doing the 360 move to get pull off
Come on,
Omni Slash.
I know someone who does.
Hell
Follow
yeah!
me.
It's like,
It's
the
the
boss
Zangief
that
move. Yeah.
you could fight. At
I
the
had
end
to
of the
actually like take a picture of my my copy of Urgai's and posted on the internet very recently because someone was trying to argue with me that Zach's name was never Zach
Thanks.
until Crisis Core. It was always translated as Zax. I'm like, that's not true. And I don't know where they got their information. I was like, here's my source. And I took my Black Label copy of Final Fantasy VII and my copy of Urgai's and I threw it on my bed and I took a picture and I was like, I own both of these games, you fucking idiot. And they were just like, oh, well, I guess I was wrong. I was like, well, then why were you fighting with me in the first place?
This is why, like, in general...
What way could have they admitted that they were wrong that would have satisfied you? How are people ever going to be allowed to
but they
change?
said they were wrong. But it was the fact that they were arguing with me for like 3 hours until I finally got fed up and took a picture of the games. It was very stupid.
People are allowed to make mistakes.
No, they're not. No, they're not.
Not at all.
They're not allowed to be stupid where I can see them.
And that's the internet, where everybody can. This kid is Chadley. Yes! Finally somebody gets it. The true lore always discovered. And yes, this child is getting mauled
Thanks.
constantly.
Child.
It is the best part of this game. It is the only entertaining part of this game, is watching this kid get picked up and being dragged away by mutant Frankenstein dogs. By the way, those are people that are literally stitched together. So if you want to talk about like horror references, like that's definitely the only time we've seen something like that.
Yeah, they are, and most, like, later on, you guys stick with us.
Let him go see what happens. Yes.
If you stick with us, what happens is, you find some of those creatures that are like straight human centipede, like stitched together ass to mouth.
Pretty amazing.
And then Vincent from Silent Hill 3 shows up and he's like, they look like monsters to you?
Oh my god, spoilers. Oh my god. I didn't mean to let that slip. I didn't hit the mute button on her fast enough, guys. I'm so sorry. That would be a pretty crazy twist.
That would be awesome. And I feel like that question is so applicable in like a Genova context. Like,
yes.
Thanks.
I wish that they would play up that a little bit more.
Did I ever tell you that the one thing that I really want to see happen from Before Crisis to happen in Remake is that part when you're in the Shinra Mansion in Before Crisis and all the ghosts are just like taking all of your trauma and projecting it and making you relive it, and like that shit was so cool.
I was gonna mention this to you because I just rewatched that part of the game and I was like, this is crazy stupid implication, and I'm actually upset at myself for not including it in part 5.
You guys
because
see that?
it's
No,
yeah,
what
the
happened?
Final Fantasy 7. It's literally Cloud's
Oh,
concept art.
yeah, I
on
see
the-
it.
Pretty crazy. Yeah, it's Cloud. Which is pretty nuts. There's a lot of those like little nods here and there. Like you have it with Kate Sith and the logo of the WRO. You have the Loveless
Well, that's
and
just
then
being a
this.
furry.
Yeah. Oh, hey, Bully, that's Cloud is the poster boy, literally.
The poster boy.
He's the poster boy. He's selling all the copies of the game. We put him on the box. They do sneak Cloud into the box art, or into the art for this game. Like he's just sitting there, like by himself, so you can see him like more clearly than some of the other characters that are like in this game, like 10 times longer than he is. He only shows up for like a cutscene and then some voiceover dialogue through like a cell phone chat. So he gets to fight Rosa the Crimson.
Transmission received. The keeper is approaching.
Hey,
Watch your back.
hey.
Exciting stuff. I know, Otto. I understand that you're too overwhelmed with excitement by the
No, what I
prospect of
can't believe is that like they relegated the main character of the series to such a minor role in this game. I feel like that's so strange.
It is a very, very weird thing. This, by the way, this kid is a ghost.
There.
So,
That should let you through.
for those wondering, it's just
Right.
gonna
Thanks, kid.
vanish. Anyway,
Like you can make comparisons with Snake and
Okay.
Metal Gear 2, though. I feel like it's way different.
I
you brought up the
Couldn't.
ghosts,
She is
and
the Seven Wonders kid.
Mom.
Oh, yeah.
Dad. Right?
that's actually not a bad.
I couldn't.
That would not be a bad nod.
I was too scared.
It would be before Crisis nodding Dirge of Cerberus, though, right?
Crisis Core.
Okay.
The Seven Wonders kid is Crisis Core.
Oh, I know, but I'm saying
Please.
Crisis Core came after
Please.
Dirge, right?
Help
Yeah.
me avenge their
So it,
death.
it would be Crisis Core giving a nod to Dirge.
Yeah.
Right. Oh,
So,
so you said before Crisis Core. Okay, yeah, not before
I'm an
Crisis.
idiot.
Too
Sorry.
many crises in the series, man.
And
Yeah.
so many afters and befores.
Mhm.
That is you mentioned the ghosts, and one of the other things too, and I don't know if I ever posted this in our discussion ever, Otto, but those ghosts show up in Crisis Core when you're in the Benora
Well,
Underground.
those ghosts.
So did you guys see? Okay, where I just went.
No.
So, like, you just go into this building after that, save that kid, and that's where you get the model gun. It's super missable, and it's the only time you can get it, and it becomes the ultimate weapon later on.
The Crisis is
Awesome.
usually a referral to like a world-ending event, or the world-ending
That's
event
so
being
much
Meteor,
Meteor is the crisis.
right? So there's
Yeah, See,
It's
Aerith,
Aerith!
right?
Aerith with her hair down too. Ooh la la,
Aerith.
working.
Yeah, I was gonna say that, Gene. That the actual models of the ghosts themselves are in OG. It's just that they completely repurposed them before Crisis.
But they also changed the textures on. If you guys want to look at this yourselves, it's actually kind of neat. Edge 60. There's a number that could have just been so easily inserted there for like actual
Oh
humor,
man,
but
we could have had it all, and then we didn't.
that's just gibberish, isn't it?
It's
No, I'm
the.
gonna-
It's
I cannot make that out.
because it's
Something pipe.
yeah so.
Oh God.
Yeah.
I will
it's so
say
pipe. I don't know.
I've spent too much time reading DOC textures trying
It
to figure
kind
out
of
what they
just
say.
looks like Burger King. It's so weird. Pipe. There we go.
I'm loving it, Pipe.
There we go.
In Benora Underground, they repurposed those ghost models with Benora apples on their sleeves.
Right.
Oh, that's cute.
And it's purple too. The head of it is purple. So I don't know why
it's
they only
his favorite little detail. I think. It's like you've told me that like several times, but you never put it in one of your videos because
there's no reason to.
Because it's adorable. Just be like, look at these cute fucking ghosts.
I want to make a video of just all the like, oh look, just fucking loveless, bam, stickers for everyone. You don't ever see stickers like that being sold at like plays or something, would you? Would you see something like that as like a
totally.
It
Really?
depends on the show.
Yeah, like Book of Mormon.
yeah, okay. That like in when you put it in that, yeah.
I never
Hamilton,
got
actually, yeah.
Live. Ugh.
My sister told me she was like she like
Did
worked
she
for
use
like
her
a
celebrity pull from being part of the Quaid family?
no she worked as a like a management for like certain sales for like theaters in like around the country for a little bit, and I mentioned to her like offhandedly, and we don't like talk about this stuff very often because that's just like something that she's very into, and I'm like lukewarm. I have a very like basic understanding of like musicals and stuff like that. And she was like, I was like, I've never seen Hamilton. I hear it's great. And she's like, I could hook you up with that. I was like, I don't know if you know me that well, but I definitely never I appreciated the offer, but it's just not something I'd ever go out of my way to like.
Can
Watch.
she hook me up with that?
I don't
Yeah,
know
I don't think
if she,
you just really don't know what you're missing.
Yeah, that shit is fucking dope. Like, I've
I
never
would-
seen it live, but I bootlegged it first and then watched it on Disney Plus when it finally came out. God, that show's so good.
Gene Garcia is like deconstructing like the mysterious lore. Yes, I have a brother and a sister that you know of, and nothing more than that so far. More details later.
Also, several clones.
Yeah, several clones. That's the one thing that this was missing, wasn't it? They just needed to throw clones into DOC, and then that would have been it.
I hate the usage of the word clone in OG because it just confused the fuck out of everybody for the longest time.
I thought for a second that you shot that dude. He backed up into the fence, and the fence broke, and I was like, that
Whoa.
is such an interesting detail.
Environmental
Yeah,
So, like,
damage.
heck it is, yeah.
And then I realized that he just phased through it.
This game is quality, I don't know what you're talking about.
That's why this level design. I can
That's
barely.
why it'll
like,
never be remade, because it's already perfect.
Oh, you're so right. That's the only argument that I have for like OG just never being remade, but that's not a fair thing to argue for people who actually wanted a remake. And for that, I am sorry to those people. I feel bad that people like had waited so long for remake to show up and then just never actually got what they wanted.
Yeah, that was my initial takeaway from Remake when I first beat it. My biggest point of contention was they promised me a remake.
Right, and they just didn't. Yeah.
And, like, I think I went on several long posts about how this is fine if this is what they want to do, but they promised me a remake.
Yeah, and I get how that's frustrating.
I mean, I got over it eventually, but that was my initial takeaway from it. And
The price of
that's
freedom.
why I feel like a lot of a not insignificant portion of the fandom hasn't gotten over it the way I have.
I think that's always like you gotta give like people at least that like understanding, like going into certain conversations, is that if you felt like, and it is their fault, like it is 100% Square's fault for even like teasing the idea that this was just gonna be like what people wanted. As
I mean,
opposed
like,
to what actually
there
showed
were
up.
a lot of people like me, and I want to say probably NSP and Soldier First Class, who were like, no, we're cool with you expanding shit and changing shit. It was just the degree to which shit got changed in the ending.
It's not a remake anymore.
It's not a remake anymore, and that was what broke the promise. Like, and that was the thing, like, the initial reveal trailer ends with the promise has been made, and then at the end of that game, the promise was broken.
Right. I think, and this is where my advantage kind of sits in this like argument. I would say, not even an argument, just like a perspective of this is that I wasn't waiting for remake before remake was announced. I had like zero stakes in like how it would have been. I was only excited about it because I was excited to see what it was going to be like. But I was not like sitting there waiting for it like immediately to come out, only to just be entertained by it mildly, maybe, you know.
I mean,
So-
I never thought it was a thing that was ever going to happen, so it's not like I sat around waiting for it.
Right.
Every time
just-
there was like some rumor that it was going to be revealed, I was like, okay, sure, okay. But then when it did finally get announced, it was, you know, that very famous video of the game trailers guys losing their shit. That's what it felt like.
Right.
That's really what it felt like.
Well, and that's why I understand. Is like there's that Shenmue 3 got announced that same year. That was a crazy E3.
That E3 has never been topped.
It's unbelievable. Like I still go back and watch some of those things just because I just want to relive how exciting it was for like this era of video games to like. The only thing that could have like made that better is that if like Silent Hills was like fucking announced in the same like breath of like all the...
Super Mario RPG.
God, yeah.
It's good.
Super Mario RPG is one of my favorite games of all time.
It's real good.
Easy.
So good. easy and
I was really lucky because this is exactly what I wanted remake to be. Like, exactly.
what the game you're playing right now. You're playing DOC Clark.
Oh.
I wanted Cloud to be the red robed, black haired protagonist. Oh, look at the flex game. This guy just
the new villain.
Yeah, this is the new Sephiroth.
Those mushroom heads. Look at them.
I love the deep ground designs. I'm not gonna lie. There's a soft spot for all of this like nonsense that we're looking at. Sorry to to completely derail things, but after watching like people react to like Shin, like that was like the year of like reacting of like, oh man, like these are people who are getting the game that they've been wanting since like for however long, you know, like your Half-Lives, your Shenmues, your Final Fantasy 7s, like they're getting the treatment that they finally deserve. And that's what it felt like for everybody, even people who didn't play. It's like, oh man, good for everybody who's getting what they want. Yeah. Right? So I can only imagine having had that experience and then going into remake after so much time had passed and just like being a little upset about it. You know what I mean? And I'm not even saying like overly upset, because like it goes to varying degrees, right? For certain people, like for me, like even when games like that I've been anticipating and they disappoint me, I genuinely don't get that upset about it. Unless it's like angeringly bad, you know, like just obvious disservice. But when it came to this, it was just never something that was that invested. And I'm not even saying that people were that invested, but I know that there are some people like ready to like just like standing in line waiting for this game to come out, like that kind of excitement, you know.
So this all sort of just goes back to kind of what we were talking about last night, and that my excitement and my expectations are tempered based on how much I was attached to the product before and how much I've been betrayed since then. So like Final Fantasy VII has already betrayed me, and it has been a betrayal for me for years. And so I think that's why I was able to get over what the ending of Remake did when so many people were not able to do it. Because
I straight up, I liked it. When I watched the end, I liked it. The thing that made me like it less was
I hadn't even seen this guy
was honestly watching Max Dude's video. It was like, I'm not sure he really knows what's happening.
I will say, because that was the inspiration for me starting these videos, was his reaction to the ending. And I don't mention that as often anymore. I mentioned it more like when part 1 came out. But he's the reason why like I even decided to take any interest in the ending. And it's not that I think that he has like a misguided like view of the ending. If anything, I just was like keen to expand on the things that he was looking into.
Well, so Boley says reality rarely stacks up to expectations. Well, here's the thing though with Final Fantasy VII Remake. Final Fantasy VII Remake blew away my expectations. It was phenomenal. And then when I got to the drum, I started to hear that uh-oh in the back of my head. But it wasn't enough for me to be like, this is gonna go fucking south. It was just that slight uh-oh. And then when we got to the end of the highway, that was it. That promise was broken. And so the entire rest of the game just it exceeded all of my expectations. It did way more than I ever thought it was going to do. It was so much better than I thought it was going to be. And then you got to the end of the highway.
Here it is. The Gene coming out.
Yes, Gene. I understand that perspective, and I think that if anything, like I don't whenever I hear that being said about like the ending, I have zero way of arguing against that, because it's just like it really just comes down to like what you wanted, and there's no reason for you not to have wanted the thing that you wanted, or just like the promise being broken. Like all of that's like understandable. So anybody who doesn't like the game, I get. If anything, the only reason for any of these discussions for me, really, it's not to like ever convince a side to like change their mind. It's more just about hearing it out, because I've like, you know, it's been like 5-6 months since the game's been out, right? And people are just like get heated in certain degrees in fandom, and like that's usually when I pull out of a fandom, is when it gets to this level of like heatedness where it's not even really about loving anything about the game anymore. It's like just talking about how much we just dislike it. And there's only so much of that I can personally take.
Sure, yeah.
Then you're in the wrong fandom, buddy.
Well,
Final
here's the
Fantasy
thing.
fans are never satisfied. It's like
Right.
Final Fantasy fans and survival horror fans are probably two of the worst fan bases in video games.
So there actually is. Okay, so another element to this too is that nostalgia burnout, which is a real thing, has a pretty direct correlation, like statistically significant correlation to depression. So people that suffer from depression are generally more likely to suffer from nostalgia burnout, which is inability to enjoy something later on, or the human tendency to inflate nostalgia, and that exists in all people to some degree, but to such an inflated degree in burnout people. And I know that my wife has done a whole study on this, and so she does her living, and there is no hard set cause for depression. Depression is not a there are genetic factors, there's circumstantial factors, and I will tell you that of all the times for something to come out, 2020 is a year where depression is very prevalent. So I will say that this game did have to battle that, because nostalgia burnout is not going to do well in depressed society. And so I think that that's at least, if there's one thing that didn't benefit coronavirus was or that didn't benefit Final Fantasy VII coronavirus. I think a lot of other games did well because it forced them inside, and some of the games are a little different. Like Animal Crossing is a perfect coronavirus game.
I love Animal Crossing. Got me through a big majority of my quarantine.
Yeah.
You know that there's like a significant amount of like film study that revolves around like events like this. Yeah. I don't want to get like too heavy into this, but like as just like because I was reminded about it from what you just said, is that like there's a lot of movies that people look back on when like the Cold War was going on, and like taking that perspective into account. And I'm very curious to see like what the perspective of like in general, like where media, like there's obviously like bigger shifts that we're seeing from like like online services. Like we were seeing that for a while, but like now like that's a way bigger focus for people, like in general, where it's like the market literally has been cut out for like going to theaters for like most places.
Dude, like, so I live in Vegas. The entertainment industry is dead here.
I'm so sorry.
I am a part of one of perhaps 5 entertainment venues that are still open.
Jesus.
It is dead here. And we're hiring a bunch of new people. They are all people who lost their jobs because their show shut down.
Yeah, I can, like, and that's just like, and we could get into that like a little bit because there's like there's a whole road that we can go down there. But yeah, it's just crazy how this is affected like any medium. So I'm just wondering like how this is going to be seen in like a couple of years looking back, or even like 5 to 10, and just see like how this event has affected like just like our perception of media, how it's interpreted, how invested people are with like this stuff. Like, I mean, and I could say this like super easily is that like one of the reasons why I'm doing what I'm doing with like Final Fantasy VII is because I needed that distraction to a certain degree. Like I might not have ever been as invested in this game as I was if it wasn't like because of the time that like this all took place in, you know. And it's just interesting. It's just an interesting subject to think about. But I really like, it's interesting talking about like nostalgia burnout and all this other stuff, because it's just like there's a point to be made in that, which is that I just don't, like you were saying, I don't think that there's much good that can come from like over investing in this kind of stuff either.
Right.
Well, the thing with the ending is that like because I've talked to quite a few people about this. It was just a lot of people have made their peace with it by now, except and I'm one of these people, so I'll just speak for myself right now. I would accept the ending and everything that it was and be super hype for the future of the series, if not for the Zack scene.
You and I have that in common.
If that scene did not exist, I'm on board. I'm 1,000% on board. Fucking take me over the moon, Nomura. Like,
we'll go wherever you want to go. Just leave him behind.
The fact that that scene exists ruins so much.
There's gonna be just like there's just a huge gap in like what we can even understand this game is going to end up being, just because of that one aspect. Like,
so Gene asks, you made the Black Cloak theory, right? Would you be okay if they went that route? It'd be okay, but there's the thing with the Black Cloak theory is that it's the theory that I hate the least. It's not one that I like. It's just the one that I hate the least. I don't think there's any good utilization of that character.
We do have to.
It seems like
we do have
the beast
to
inside
consider,
you went a little
though,
wild back there.
that
This happen often?
it's an argument from incredulity to assume it will be bad, because we cannot imagine a scenario where it would be good. It's like a very classic logical fallacy. And so I think it's just an unhealthy space to be in.
Oh,
so I don't really know
your relationship with Dr.
where they're going,
Crescent.
and I don't think they gave us enough clues.
Well, I just hate Zack, so that's something else.
Well, and that's, that's true. I mean, like, and
so for me, there is no good way to use him because I just
what
don't
if they kill him? What if they killed him on? What if my dream comes true?
I would be so stoked if that.
Okay, so that's the only thing I'll accept as being good.
Don't tell me.
That's your dream's the only thing that's a good idea.
So
really
for
like
all of you that don't know what I'm talking about, I had an actual dream. It was the night of TPS, or no, it was the night before the PlayStation reveal, where they ended up showing 16. And what happened is that the scene opens up, and it's Cloud being dragged by Zack, and they're almost to the Midgard gate. And it ends up being the trailer for part 2. And
are you alright?
Cloud is an invalid, etc. And as we approach Midgar, we see
Unfortunately, no.
Carrier stamp prominently displayed along the wall, like on a poster or something.
All I know is what I saw while going through the company's archives.
And then Zack says in his annoyingly high voice, like, "Hey, we're almost there, buddy."
Already?
And then all of a sudden, like, the music shifts, it gets dark, and then Zack, like, all of a sudden holds his gut and he looks down and he sees that he's bleeding. and then it pans up from his perspective, and you see Cloud, and he's now got like a purplish aura. He's gone like full Genova, and then you hear like the screen fades to black, and you hear Zack scream in pain, and then cuts to the next scene. Zack is and Cloud is now dragging the Buster Sword. He slowly starts to walk normally and regain his persona. And as he does, your perspective on the Terrier
Two birds with one
like starts
stone.
to shift, and it like fades in and out. And then as he regains his full self, you see Stamp change into the Beagle. So the idea is that Genova, using it, her dream weaving, affected our perspective, the player, who, the story is told through Cloud's perspective, and that's why we see things through that perspective. And
I
so
would love that.
it explains it actually.
So,
And after I thought about it, I was like, wow,
Rosso
that
the
actually
Crimson
explains a few
told
things.
you that
One, it explains how
photomateria is
Cloud
the
gets
key
the
to
Buster Sword,
controlling
and
Omega.
I know there's like plenty of possible explanations for
Yeah.
that, but it does need to be
Any
addressed.
ideas?
Yeah.
That sword is important.
Soul
And
rod
then
terra
also, Cloud
Quelling
gets super
impurity,
murdery
virgin
for some
stream,
reason in
to beckon
Remake.
forth
Like,
an ultimate fate.
he has to get talked out of killing
Behold
both Johnny
mighty chaos.
and Reno for some
Omega
weird
Squire
reason.
to the lofty heavens.
That does stand out very
Yeah,
oddly.
it does stand
A
out.
passage
I don't
from
think
Dr.
this is
Crescent's
gonna happen.
thesis.
I really don't.
But
But
that's
But I
all I
want
know.
it to.
But
Unfortunately, I only
like
saw a fragment
my
of the
point is just
document.
like that was a dream I had,
However, chaos.
and like I
Omega,
hadn't even thought of it
and-
before. Just saying, like, we don't. I don't want to put myself in a position where like I'm putting one
all seem to be
Western
connected to Dr.
narrative
Crescent in some
constraints
way.
on something.
There's no
Like,
other explanation.
Because Final Fantasy isn't a Western story. It's just
I think
not.
we need
Like,
to
they
gather
tell
more
stories
data on her
differently
to get
there.
anywhere.
Like, they don't follow
What
the
now?
same story structure. And I don't want to pigeon myself into this hole of like understanding things through a Western lens, because then like it takes some of the enjoyment out of a cultured experience. So there's that. And then there's also just that, I don't want to get myself so attached to some direction that we might be going, that some creative direction that they came up, because they are creators that I hadn't thought of, is ruined because I've been attached to this thing, and I think that was that is a real issue with, it's definitely a multiverse. There's a lot of evidence that points to a multiverse. I don't care. Like, if it ends up being that, as long as you do it well, all right. It might be something else. It isn't really their style to do multiverse, but it's not their style. Like, nothing's off the table with them. So.
Also, there's a lot of interesting shit that's happening in the chat, right? So Botanical asks, is it possible that the Zack scene is just a Genova illusion?
Maybe.
Like, on the table.
Yeah,
That's
I don't
not
think
a
it's
bad idea.
impossible.
I wish that like what we're gonna get is something that like truly blows our mind in terms of just like there's such a structure set up right now for like them to really, if they were really good about this, and I'm just like being like obviously optimistic in what I'm saying here, for them to really pull the rug from under us and just be like, what on earth is going to happen now? And that could be like done in a good way or a bad way, but like it would just be so great to get something even to like the scale of surprise of like an Aerith death, like something to the scale of that, like effectiveness in just this remake, whether it's Aerith's death or not, would be interesting. So something like that would be like, if that started to like unfold in front of us, like no one would ever be able to know. Like I would lose my mind. You know what I mean?
And like I'm just gonna address a point that's been made several times, is that the theme of Destiny is not relatable. Okay, sure, maybe it's not relatable in the same way as some stories are, But like, you know, Final Fantasy has always had really grand themes, and like, relatable themes aren't necessarily like a Final Fantasy trope. Like, a lot of them are about big struggles, things that like cannot be tackled by a single individual. Some of them are just like thought exploration, and in a lot of ways, for very structured societies, for where home life and work life, there's just this high weight of expectation. You'll find that the art generally imitates, opposition to that. So like, there is a lack of structure when it comes to, the themes told. Their expressions, they're almost like haiku. In a lot of ways, they're like haiku, and so it's a lot more interpretive. So I think it's sort of unfair to like expect a Japanese written game to like tell that kind of story. Like, it's just not the way they write. I don't want Final Fantasy to become, and I don't want this to come across the wrong way. I don't want it to get whitewashed. I want it to stay Eastern. I want it to stay Japanese. And a lot of the criticisms coming out of the West on the way Japanese storytelling happens in general, I think it sort of ignores that they have their own value system. The things that they like, are different. The things they want from a story, the release they get from a story is different. And I don't want them to change that for us. That's the last thing I want. And like, even games that are somehow lauded by Western societies that are Japanese RPGs, things like Persona, which are, like, are the stories really relatable? Like, it's high school drama, so it's a lot easier to tell a story that like you can vaguely relate to, but they still tackle these weird meta themes. And like, if you compare it to the way that, it's not like it does that stuff very well. Like, it's like Netflix has better series to tackle, relatable high school drama in a way that's appealing to everybody. Like, it's just, do you guys kind of get where I'm coming from here?
And I have a lot to say about this, and I was actually going to save this for my chat with Night Sky Prince, but I'm just going to do it here. But first, before I even go into it, Phantom Valentine says, I think the Japanese must think us Westerners are too stupid to figure stories out sometimes. Well, Hideo Kojima flat out called us fucking idiots after Death Stranding. Anyway, that aside, I just wanted to put that out there. Kojima flat out said that Westerners were too stupid to understand his stories.
I didn't like Death Stranding for gameplay reasons only.
I never played it. I don't like Kojima's games to begin with. But I just thought it was really funny when he came out and said that. I was just like, damn, Kojima, tell us how you really feel. But in terms of what we were actually talking about, now, I don't think it's accurate to say that Destiny is the theme of Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Me neither.
I don't think that that's accurate.
Yeah.
Because, the way that themes work is that they are reflected in the characters, and the only character that has this reflected in them is Eris, and she's not even the main protagonist.
She's also somebody who dies, like, not even, like, halfway through the story.
And so, like, what I was gonna bring up to NSP is, what is Persona 4 about? Persona 4 is about societal expectations versus the individual self and the need to self-express within a restrictive society. Why is that game about that? Because that's what all of the characters go through.
Right.
Now, the game is not actually about a murder mystery. It is not actually about, gods going to war, which is the stupid meta plot there. That is just the vehicle that drives the larger plot to tell the true story of society versus individualism. And so I feel like Destiny is playing that same role in Final Fantasy VII Remake. Destiny is the vehicle that's going to drive the main plot forward, but the themes still seem to be the main theme of survivorship and overcoming trauma and learning to live in a world that either you have outgrown or that has outgrown you.
Does
Like,
anyone ever think about like the very last? So like, here's like a perfect example of what you're talking about in Remake. Is that when you are at Destiny's Crossroads and everyone goes through the portal, why do they spend like just that last little bit of time before you go into the singularity highlighting Barrett at all? Like cheating Destiny. Like this isn't the first time that I've like spat in like Destiny's eye. It's like this is a macro level of fantasy being applied to the like individual like emotions of each character. And yes, that is enhanced by like you having played the game before, right? Like only so many people are going to know about Barrett's story going in, but you will learn through the story that that's where this is all heading. And the one thing that Remake does relatively well compared to people like what everyone else is complaining about is they really do a good job making their characters interesting.
Yeah.
And if anything, that's the hardest thing in any media to get right, is making those characters like have that base to expand upon. That's why like so many people criticize like the new Star Wars trilogy, right? Is because they started off with characters that just didn't have any direction to go into, right? Or to grow into. This game is like piling up so much to be explored. And the fantasy here being this Destiny thing is only something that's going to highlight those things in characters.
And you know, we are running into a mathematical problem with characters. You know, like, and I do realize that how are we gonna have room for development when like we still have all this like space for Barrett and Tifa and Aerith to develop. We're gonna throw on all these extra characters and stuff like that. But I think that's really more incentive for them to keep the story going. You know, like I think it's I think we're gonna be able to look past, you know, not doing Fort Condor and, you know, like maybe having to skip some stuff. If it develops these characters, you know.
Jean Garcia, yes, Minerva is the most relatable character. That is really the heart of this conversation.
But
this
then
is
she,
gold. I would also like to tell Gact to fuck off.
yeah.
Danny, Renee 99.
Renee.
Yeah.
Renee, thank you. I'm so bad at that. Sorry if I butcher anybody's name, but yeah, it's fantasy is a reflection of reality if done well in most cases. So like any sort of physical manifestation of anything fantasy usually has something to do with, you know, maybe a main character struggle or whatever that is. Somebody was arguing with me, and this is like back when part one came out, that it's like, why can't it just be like this story where it's like Aerith is just this girl and this is this dude with a sword, and it's like it's not like this overly complicated. I was like, I don't understand. Like, I don't see fantasy that way. I don't see fantasy being disconnected. Some fantasy is just for the sake of fantasy and just goes off and does its own thing. But fantasy done well will kite its way back into a character's own internal struggles or something to that effect. And if
this
anyone
is
has
also
watched,
sci-fi.
yeah, if anyone's watched anime, that's like how like some of like the most classic like favorite animes are like illustrated, is this arc of like starting from an emotion and then it blowing up, and even in Final Fantasy where it blows up into this existential like crisis of some sort, and it like becomes a physical like, you know, obstacle to the main character. Yeah, I don't know how much more I can.
So I just have to say this in case you guys didn't know.
You guys have been really talkative too, by the way, and I'm sorry if like Haven't been
So,
doing
okay,
that.
I'm very happy to announce this on stream. This is live news, guys.
It's-
Melania and Donald Trump have both tested positive for COVID-19.
Fuck.
I was reading that
No.
that post before they were tested. They were quarantined at the beginning of this stream, and I was like, that's no
Oh
way,"
my god.
because they were interacting with somebody who's sick,
So,
and they got
have
so
they
they're
just
hopefully
not
sick.
had symptoms yet? Because during the debate, it's not as though he seemed ill physically ill.
Oh my god, that was 3 hours ago. I gotta reload this page. That's fucking crazy. Yeah, I guess. Oh, what if like Biden caught it?
Oh, well, all hail President Harris.
Dude, you know what? On
I'm
the
down with
15th,
that.
the debate is gonna be a different kind of shit show for most people, I guess. That's nuts.
Anyway, I wanted to say one thing though, with
Okay.
regards to that comment that you got from that person. I agree with them to the extent that I don't really like the way that they changed the direction of Eris's character. I really did like that she was learning more about who and what she was as the game went on, and then started to self-isolate as a result, and that's ultimately what led to her death. It was the fact that she pushed everyone else away and decided to go it alone because she felt that she was alone. But
I think you'll hear pretty regularly that the tone buildup was very different in Japanese.
See, I felt like that was the most interesting aspect of Aerith's character in this part of remake. Is that she's like making a decision that only she can make, even though she's sharing as much as she can with the others, and even though they're like comforting her, she's like still unable to really fully explain anything that she's done.
But
Right.
it's still so different from OG, like,
I
because
agree.
in OG, there's that scene when they're at the bonfire in Cosmo Canyon where she just says, "I'm alone. I'm all alone now." And Cloud goes, "Well, I mean, we're here for you, right?" And she's just like, "It doesn't matter. It's not the same." Whereas in Remake, she's just like, "Well, you guys are here for me." And it's
Well,
I
what
don't
if
know.
that's a setup for us to get to that scene? You know what I mean?
I
Like, what
hope
if it's a
so.
setup
That
to
would be
get to
good,
that
but
Cosmo Canyon moment?
I think because that was the real tragedy of her character for me in OG, and I talked about this on Reddit the other day, where the reason why her death was so shocking was because in OG she was just this street smart, razor witted gremlin child who had a lucky streak. That's pretty much all it was. She was able to navigate her way through Midgar, through city life, through slum life, and eventually that luck ran out when she started to self isolate and push other people away. And so the takeaway is lucky streaks run out, and when you need help, it's okay to ask for it. Whereas in Remake, she learns that lesson pretty much by the end of it. Like, it's okay to ask for help. Whereas in OG, she never learns it, and that's what kills her.
And I think that's the most okay. So, like, taking that idea, just knowing that this game is going to be like, these games are going to be longer, and like we're going to spend more time. Why not build like an arc into that final sort of like peak of that character? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think they could, but just based on what they showed in Remake so far, I don't think that that's the direction that they are going to go. Just
What if the second is like the dark turn of like that arc? You know what I mean?
no. What do you
Who
mean?
knows? I'm saying is like the arc, like the low moment of the story, set up for like the high moment later, like way later. But what if like she just doesn't get like all happy go lucky? What if like something happens where maybe she starts to doubt even more like the direction she's chosen? You know?
Yeah, I don't know how they'd do that though. That's the thing that I
I'm
can't
gonna be really
foresee.
honest, guys. I haven't been paying attention at all. I've just been I've just been following the news, and
Oh, we're talking about Eris. That's fine.
I just want to mention that MSNBC, CNN, and all other major news sources have already reported that they've tested positive. Fox News has yet to report it.
Of course, it's not like they report news.
I mean, that is the news, right? Isn't it?
They decide the news.
So
I decide the news.
I
I'm
I have no business speaking words anymore.
Yeah, you gotta take a load off, dude.
So I love all of you. Thank you for being my friends. And
Thank you for being ours.
I've been a little out of it, and I appreciate your patience. I'm generally a little bit more with it, but Sulhava, I'm going to read what you sent me, and I'll get back to you on that. And we'll hopefully have more info for you. Just so you guys know, I am planning on doing a video series with some collaboration with Sleepezi and whoever else wants to help on mythology in Final Fantasy VII. We'll do a video on each sort of like school of mythology, or actually they're just called mythologies. Probably do one specifically on Greek mythology, which is kind of low key. We'll do one on Norse mythology, which is huge, and then we'll do one on Kabbalah, which is really really huge, and probably the only person that I know that's gonna be that knows anything about Kabbalah.
That's all you. I'll get the pom poms out for that one.
But so that should be fun, and
I'm excited.
And I'll have more announcements for that next week.
And yes, I'm definitely excited to like get into that. I'm sure that like there's so much that you've already told me unlike the side, and I'm like just eager to know more at that point. So.
The focus will not be to like make predictions about what's happening in the Final Fantasy universe. The focus will not be making any sort of assumptions, and it won't be to insult anybody's religion. Although that may accidentally happen. The real goal is that I would like to take the opportunity to educate people on mythology using Final Fantasy VII as so.
All good stuff. Yes, I am looking forward to it.
Anyways,
it looks like everybody else is too.
I love you guys.
Love you too.
Yeah, we love you.
And thank you guys for joining us. This was super fun, and I'm looking forward to spilling out only the knowledge of Dirge or Cerberus that I'm ever going to get the chance to outside of video. So
we made a mistake by doing this like immediately after my shift ended because I just fucking it's just like edging.
We did not get to any of the good stuff anyways, so like I think there's more. The heavy lore comes later, so as we continue the series we'll maybe prep a little bit. Okay guys,
good night guys.